Hello everyone, welcome to the Weeb initiative. I'm your host, the Weeb. This is a show where every other week I'll be talking about anime, manga, and everything in between. This week I'll be talking about... This is my favorite anime, okay? And to be fair, this is as I said in the last episode, if my hook was a Mag Brilliant Park, this is line and sinker, the thing that really brought me into this whole hobby. High School of the Dead. Now, before I even start, disclaimers. Spoiler alert, kinda. I will not spoil everything, though I may spoil some things. Also, another disclaimer, I'll be talking about just the anime. I will not be talking about the manga. For the sake of this review, I will not consider the OVA because the OVA is 100% filler. And also it makes me mad because of the ending, like the post-credits scene. I'll get to that eventually, but safe to say I'll just analyze the 12 episodes that exist. Outside from that, another disclaimer, before anyone says anything in the comments or in the Discord, yes, this is my favorite anime. Yes, I am pretty aware that it is pretty ecchi, but I'll get to explain not the points that make me like it. Most of what I like in it nowadays can be summed up or blamed into nostalgia, but at the same time the content is really good as it portrays as it pertains to the anime in general. The manga is way better, but also I will get to that. Anyways, let's get into the review because this is a really important review to me, and I will get to why this is my favorite anime also, because and I want to do this really well. Anyway, 3 minutes out of the way, let's go. So first off, the stats. So High School of the Dead was originally written by Daisuke Sato and illustrated by Shoji Sato. The first thing I need to say is that the manga was never finished. The manga went through September 2006 to May 2013. It has 7 volumes. I think it's 33 chapters. Most of the chapters have about 30 pages. And as I already said, it was written by Daisuke Sato and illustrated by Shoji Sato. I don't actually know, and I could not confirm in research if they are actually brothers, as some sources might say. But I tend to believe that pretty much maybe. Also because let's get this out of the way already. The manga was never finished because in 2013 Sato Sensei Daisuke Sato took extended hiatus due to health problems, and eventually he ended up passing away in 2017. Oh boy. I'm not recording my face right now, but every time I remember this, because I was with a friend that I talk a lot about the anime with the day the news came out, and I remember, man, it hit hard, right? And I'm getting sentimental already. Let's get going. So the manga was never finished. It has 7 volumes. It has 33 chapters. And also, for the sake of this review, I'll talk about some things, but most of the flags the anime plants never coming to fruition, even in the manga, because the manga never really goes much past what the anime shows. But I will talk about that when we get to the story. So about the anime, now the stats: it was produced by Madhouse. It went through July 2010 to September 2010. It has 12 episodes plus 1 OVA, which is fully filler. It does not have any weight in the main story. Outside from that, I need to say huge kudos to everyone involved in the music in this anime. If this is the first foray into anime music from this anime, I think you have a really nice time. I did not know that it had so much good music involved before I started rewatching it and researching it. Basically, the whole anime has 4 discs of complete music, except the first one. The first one is just the opening and the main ending. I say main ending because for the most part in the anime, they do this thing where nearly every other episode they have a different ending, which is pretty nice. And also the CDs include the OST, meaning the let's say the background music for fights and whatever, that are not really consumer music, but are music composed by the studio, by the artist contracted to add up. And also the insert music, which I don't actually know what the hell that's about, but I'll get it. I mean, yeah. Outside from that, just a huge shout out to, and I will butcher this, but I need to say it, the guys who made the opening and the main ending, Kiseda Kyodan and the Akeboshi Rockets. Really nice. They did a new version in 2021 of the opening. The opening is called High School of the Dead. Thematic, I know. And they did a new version in 2021. It's a single. I personally prefer the original, but that's just me. I don't know. Outside from that, just a heads up, right? Back to the authors, the author and the illustrator. So since Daisuke Sato passed away, Shoji Sato, who was the illustrator for the series, for the manga, he did the one project I really know him for a Strategy X, which came after High School of the Dead, and you can see that he has a really distinctive style. It is not that so much that it is cartoonesque, but it has its own signature, let's say. I cannot explain why, but when you see it compared to any other anime or any other manga for that matter, you see that he has his own style. And to me, it may be hit or miss if you like it or not. I love it, and I'll say more about it later. But just to say, Shoji Sato is still active as an illustrator. I don't actually know if he's realizing any series right now. From what I could research, it is a no. But sometimes he gets to be invited into some other works or something like that. The last thing I saw it, to those who read it, he was invited to be a collaborator in a special edition of Murcielago. That was I think it's the December 2022 Murcielago volume. He made one illustration for the collaborator spotlight, whatever, which really, it's good that he's still going, right? So wind this down, let's get to the anime itself. So what's the anime about? So before I even start about the story of the anime, let me take you on a trip back in time when this first debuted as a manga. I'll review the anime, but I need you to get the context. Imagine, if you will, 2006, the first volume when this released. What happened to that point? To me, High School of the Dead is the logical anime / manga conclusion to the zombie trend of media that the mid 2000s, early 2010s actually had. And I say that because looking at it, it has many tropes and shows off some of the best and in some points worst parts of zombie movies and zombie media in general. And why do I say that it is the logical conclusion to the anime conclusion to the zombie trend? So 2006, what happened before 2006, right? So we had the Resident Evil movies, which that's debatable, but kind of okay. Outside from other zombie adjacent things and whatever, but the one thing that I remember from this time that may actually be somewhat of an inspiration, something that pushed the publication forward, the serialization forward, is Resident Evil 4 came out in 2005 and this came out in 2006. I mean, it's just a theory, but it may have been. I mean, it may have been a factor in it. That being said, let me get more into it. So, to me, is the getting already into the story. High School of the Dead is much of what you would expect with a title like that. So, it is high school people from normal anime inserted into the zombie apocalypse. That is the basically the whole thing about the series. And for the most part, the synopsis, although even if it encapsulates everything that happens really in this anime and manga, it does not show the best parts of it. So we get to meet our main characters in the first episode. So we have our titular main character, Komuro Takashi. Let's say we have a whole harem, and then we have the talking geek slash nerd later on, and the teacher, who's also part of the harem, not really. And then we get later on an addition of a lolly and the dog. The dog is just a mascot. The lolly is the talking lolly because they would need it. They would need a lollies at some point. At this point in time in anime like that, I think I can say this with most certainty that any anime at this point in anime and manga in 2006, 2002, 2013 had to have at the very least one lolly. But that's a thing, my opinion. Anyways, so basically, what is this about? So we have our main titular characters, the guy who's Komuro Takashi, our girls Miyamoto Rei, I will butcher the name, hold on, Busujima Saeko, Marikawa Shizuka, who's the teacher, Kota Hirano, who's the nerd, and my queen Takagi Saya. I'll get to that in a minute, but we have initially the six people from the same school, and the first two episodes are basically the let's say the setting, and I have to say it's a really, really strong setting, and also I have to say it has this bad parts, but I'll get to that. The setting is really, really, really heavy. They really pumped up the presentation, and the animation for the first two episodes in specific. They actually put a lot of effort into showing not only the expressions of people's faces, but also I don't know how to say it, but the movement, the gestures people do, and the whole thing feels like chaos when the outbreak kind of breaks out. Let's say when the zombies start appearing, the feeling of shit hits the fan is so overwhelming. It is a whole vibe. That's what I mean. The whole thing is really incredible in this department. The vibe, the whole feeling, the sentimental part of the what the fuck's happening here? Why is there people getting dead and then coming back to life? It is the anime really works in transmitting this feeling to you. And for the first 2 episodes, you can I can already say, and I can attest to, that there is one glaring, I would say, as a fan of the series, there is a glaring issue that I see with the anime in general, and something that I will come back to later, is that they inject a lot of ecchi that it is not present in the manga. I am a stickler for following the source material when it comes to adaptations, and I can see for certain that for the most part in this anime they inject too much of ecchi in general, so a lot of penny shots, jiggle physics. I mean, jiggle physics are not present in the manga, but the anime does emphasize it a bit too much for my taste, considering the whole terror zombie infestation vibe that they're going for already in the first 2 episodes. And also because the second episode, basically the first to the second episode, we see the first and the second, let's say, mental breakdowns of the main characters. So, and this is kind of a spoiler, but not really. But we first see Rei kind of really breaking apart, really torn apart with what happens on her side. And also because later on we get to kind of, they get to explain a bit what is too important that's happening to her, because at some point it may come as way too exaggerated, but later on it is more or less brief to us. They, unfortunately, to even in the manga, they never really get to explore that much more that I think they would, but the anime already gives us a pretty good idea of what's happening. And from the first to the second episode, we see the first breakdown of Saya. So let me get just the characters a bit explained. So Komuro Takashi is your main character, run of the mill for the most part. He's the leader and whatever. Really milk and toast, not really anything special. Kota Hirano, or Hirano, just, he's a gun geek, a gun otaku, as they call in the anime. He's the military aficionado kind of guy, and he's done arms training in America and knows a lot about guns and whatever. And he's just a nerd. He's the quintessential anime nerd at the time, so he's fat, wears glasses and whatever. And they also hint at the fact that he suffered bullying in school, but when it comes up that he needs to find not only weapons but guns, he really shows up as a huge force. He really it is the dream, right? You research guns and you gotta use all your knowledge, and that's basically it, right? And from the get-go, he has a crush on Saya. That's the thing that comes out. He Saiko, I would get to Saya last because Saiko is the senpai, more Bushido kind of woman, the normal stuff of samurai woman, more or less. So she's traditional Japanese, does kendo champion, whatever. So she's the straight out fighter at the beginning. So she has one of her shimai, and going around beating zombies up, and that's basically it. Now about Shizuka, who's the teacher, she was put in, I think, as the comedy relief for the most part, in the form of, let's say, input a bit of ecchi, just because for the most part she's just an airhead. Although she's a doctor, she's the school nurse, she does not seem, for the duration of the anime, she's not too intelligent, she's not too clever, she's not too smart, she's a bit of a slowpoke, more or less. And off to Saya. Saya is I would say the most explored character in this season, the whole 12 episodes. She's the one who has the most, let's say, story affecting actions done to her and by her, because first off, she's a tsundere and she has a crush on Komuro, and she's his childhood friend, and she's a tsundere, but she also is way too proud to a fault, let's say. The thing is, right, so she, how can I say this, she has that she's a genius and she's strong and everything, and at the moment when it kind of sinks in that her life is in danger and actually she needs to defend herself, that's when she breaks. And it is really emotional, this part. The moment when everything sinks in, the moment when the six of them really not only notice, but they get to themselves that the world basically ended. The schools is littered with zombies. Everywhere is littered with zombies. Nobody knows where anyone's family is. I don't know if I will be alive tomorrow and everything. That's the first big break, let's say. And basically this is the school, right? So they get to, let's say, study the zombies primarily. So they notice that the zombies are mostly blind and just follow sounds and whatever. And a whole lot of things happen already in these 2 episodes, but for the most part I will not spoil that. Later on, they escape the school with the bus, with one of the school buses, and then we get to the, let's say, the free roaming, the open world. From this point on, they have just one objective, that they need to check on everybody's family, and the first stop is Saya's house, because she's the closest one to the school. From this point on, we get, for the most part, until I think episode 8, we have they just wandering around most of the time, until one point when Shizuka remembers that she has a friend who has a penthouse in one of the districts they are going to pass through. And so they rendezvous at that. And when they go there, they find military equipment, as in guns and ammo, a Humvee, and a stocked up fridge for once. This is the same part where they add in the token lolly and the dog. The lolly being Arisu. Arisu is rescued by Komuro. There's like I think it's 2 episodes. 2 episodes of them trying to rescue her of being eaten by zombies, and the whole story of how she got there is kind of played out in front of your eyes. It is really heavy. My god, oh man. And the thing is, right, it is really heavy. They rescue her and she's basically added to the group, and so they can't stay there and get out towards Saya's house. From this point on, they roam a bit to episode 8. I have a quick note about episode 8. Episode 8, there is an action sequence which it is not entirely in the manga, let's just say a 556, when it is shot, it is moving about 161 meters per second according to Wikipedia, which is way past the speed of sound. I will not spoil why that's important to know, but I will just say that sequence is not in the manga. They just added it up because they wanted it. But basically on episode 8 there is this break where I don't actually know why they did it, but episode 9 basically is not canon. Episode 9 it is not present in the manga. In the manga, the things that happen on episode 8 already go towards episode 10. I don't know why. Actually, they did add episode 9 into it, but to me, episode 9 is just filler that they added because they wanted. Just to sum up episode 9 really quickly, how can I say this? I actually don't want to say it. It's pretty bad. And I'm saying it because I rewatched it and I just thought, why did they do this? And for the most part, what I could gather from it is that they wanted to bring up Saiko's backstory and not emotional trauma, but the emotional weight of her into the story. Because for the most part, in this first arc of going through the school and to Saya's house, it is not well explored. The whole character of Saiko is not really explored for the most part. I think in the manga even, it is not really explored, although it's more explored later than what the anime shows. She never really opens up much, so I think they added episode 9 just to give her the emotional breakdown to add up to the anime in general. Because for the most part, the episode 9 is just like ecchi, and for no real reason really. That being said, whatever. So episode 10 towards the end is just, it's good, and then it's bad, and then it's tragedy, and then the anime ends. That's basically the story. The OVA is just an extra. It is not, again, it does not weigh into the story. It is not in the manga. Obviously, it's an OVA, and for the most part, it is just fan service all along, and that's about it. Now, to the review, really. Let's start from the beginning. So, what did I think of? Why did I watch High School of the Dead? What do I think about High School of the Dead? So, after rewatching it, I started it, and oh my god, it is heavy. It is actually heavy. And the thing is, right, if you filter out the whole amount of ecchi that they added it in, at the beginning it is most penny shots and jiggle physics and whatever. For the most part, in the manga, the penny shots are kind of present, but they are not emphasized really. What you will find in the anime, not only at the beginning, but for the most of it, is that they do these frames, they frame the scenes in a way to focus on it, more or less. It is really jarring if you came from the manga to see how the adaptation came out. But anyways, that's the main con about this anime in general, is that for once there is too much ecchi in something that should not have it. Why do I say that, right? So the story in general is pretty heavy, as they introduce it's basically a zombie movie but stretched. So I don't want to compare it to The Walking Dead, but if the anime, if the manga continued, I want to believe that it would have been a long-lasting story with a good ending. And the thing is, right, the emotional emotional charge that comes from the anime in general, not only from the main characters, as I said. These emotional breakdowns they have are really, really emphasized. They are really heavy, really even questioning morality and ethics and whatever. But not only that, but even the anime specific, the way they focus on some side, not only side characters, but background extras. People jumping off windows. There's a point where the police is trying to barricade a part of town to impede infected from entering it, and the chief of police has to do a harsh order to impede the entrance and whatever. And when he does it, the emotional the weight of it's so heavy that he ends himself. And that's really, I mean, it is the vibe, right? It's the vibe of the zombie apocalypse coming in the how people deal with pressure, as in. And the question always comes down to it, right? Do you protect one or do you protect a lot? Do you sacrifice the one to protect a lot, right? And this whole emotional weight, moral weight, this whole question that comes up, it is really well executed, both in the manga and the anime. But the manga just complements it with a pinch of ecchi, and sometimes the normal mangas, anime / manga cliches, let's say, the don't look when the girls are changing, the don't look up because the girls is in a skirt and whatever. It's really just normal stuff, but bloody hell, I'm losing the point I'm trying to make. The thing is, the anime is pretty good as it's a pretty good zombie horror anime. Although it has so much ecchi added to it, so the experience is kind of messed up. That being said, it points to first off the animation. The animation is gorgeous. I have to say, and this is, I'm not making this up. I'm really being honest here. It is one of the only anime I can watch to this day, and I can't notice a noticeable downgrade from the animation from one episode to the next. The animation is always really good. I don't actually watch too much of Madhouse's works, but this anime in specific is one that they did really well. In general, it is pretty good in the animation. They use a really light 3D effects on some parts, mainly in the end of the anime, just to add it up. It is, considering the art style in general of the anime, it is really subtle, but you can clearly see it. But it's well hidden, so I'll let it pass. About the music, bloody hell, man, the music's awesome. My brother, he says the opening is bad because it seems like two guys are just destroying guitars, but I like it. Whatever. The endings are all pretty great. They all share a mood with the ending. So when they rescue Arisa and the dog Zeke, the ending is pretty upbeat and is really, really nice, really on theme. Another thing I wanted to mention is that the structure of this anime is a bit weird. They did this for no apparent reason. That so the most of the episode will have your normal structure. So there's the prologue, the opening, and then the whole episode. Although they leave, I think, 1 or 2 minutes of the episode until after the credits roll in the ending. I don't know why they do this, but basically you watch the whole episode, wait the ending to end, really, and you have 2 more minutes of actual episode, and then the preview for the next. The previews are generally, I'm not just previews, goddammit, but the previews are really short, but this last little bit of episode that's left after the ending is kind of a preview, and in some cases a bridge to the next episode. So some episodes, if you don't watch it kind of seems like they teleported to a near point in the future or some different place, but this little bit that they have after the ending generally serves as the bridge from one episode to the next. Just a heads up if you want to watch it fully. So I talked about the ecchi, so I talked about the animation, the music. What else do I need to talk about? I think the last thing I really need to touch on is the ending of the last episode. The ending of the last episode, it's kind of spoils the next arc in the story. If you read the manga, you can read it fully. But to be really brief here, it seems for all intents and purposes, and also turning around to the thing where I said that the OVA makes me kind of angry because of the ending. The ending of both the last episode 12, and the OVA, they both spoil that there will be a second season. For all intents and purposes, I think that it had been planned but never really done. And really rewatching it, feeling everything, this weight, this emotional kind of, oh man. There's this part, right? So this is kind of spoiler, but not really. When they get to Saya's house, it is the first safe haven they see in days, where they can actually kind of live normally again. And it is the heaviest environment they get to that point, because, and this is a really good contrast, I would say. This is just a side note, really, but when they actually get to safety, you see the human factor coming in and spoiling the fun, more or less. So you see the kind of, not political game, but this power struggle that happens inside Saya's house with the bunch of people they have secured there, and really, man, it's one heavy thing to watch, really. And in seeing it, I just thought, man, bloody hell, this would have been such a good series. And really, that's just a thought. That there's nothing to really be done. It is just a relic of the 2010s, really, at this point. And also, before I end this episode, I feel I need to add this up, because it is a bit of trivia and one more factor to me to love the series in general. So back then, in 2006 to 2013, when the manga was not actually published here in the West, I think they just got the rights to publish here in the West in 2010, when the anime came out and kind of had some success. The thing is, right, before the manga was published here, obviously there was scans everywhere. And the thing is, right, so at that point, Shoji Sato and Daisuke Sato noticed that the manga was not being published here, but the scans existed, because pirating will exist anywhere. And so they put into the 5th volume a little message to, please, when this is available in your country, please buy the original one. And I think that's just not only cute, but that is a reaffirmation from the authors to know that, one, they have fans around the world outside of Japan that really like their work, that read it, and just to reiterate not only the importance of the scan let's say the scan community in general because as always, not all manga end up being published in Japan first and foremost, and even less gets published here, translated and published here. And the thing is, scans in general may be piracy, yes, but the thing is, when something is not published here and will not be translated by normal means, I'm not endorsing piracy, god damn it. But you get what I mean, right? So, to make things available, it is really nice. And to know that at some point, authors from a series I like acknowledged the existence of the scans and the notion that people outside of Japan that could not access the original thing actually translated themselves because they wanted to rate it. That's just too cute. Just too cute. Anyways, that's about it. That's the review for the anime of High School of the Dead. So, if you like the show, if you liked it, thank you for listening first of all, and please, I hope you stick around for more. Please share, please like, please subscribe, depending on the platform you're in. Please join the Discord, and please, I hope to see you again. I hope you stick around. Bye.